Thanks for watching the Council in Brief. I'm Crystal Park. We're here to wrap up the latest news of the Montgomery County Council. Up first, the establishment of a new economic incentive to help craft alcohol businesses establish roots here. Susan Kennedy has more.
Craft breweries, wineries, and distilleries are growing exponentially here in Montgomery County, and council members are making economic investments in these businesses. A new economic development incentive that's been secured through the county's MOVE program will provide assistance to these new businesses that are creating their first shared office space. This proposal is the work of Council President Hans Reamer and Councilmember George Leventhal.
What we've done is we've expanded a program which provided a subsidy for office space to now provide a subsidy for what is essentially light industrial space where manufacturing of beer can take place. And Mr. Reamer and I asked the executive branch to modify the program. It did not require legislation, and the executive branch agreed with us. We love breweries.
Well, breweries are part of the creative culture, the creative workforce culture that we need to attract, because the companies follow the workers. Companies locate where they think they can get the best, most educated, most capable workforce, and the workforce has choices about where it's going to live and what lifestyles it wants, so Montgomery County has to be able to offer those lifestyles.
So good to see you. Happy holidays.
Wow, I see a lot of progress since I was here last.
The proposal allows those craft alcohol businesses to receive assistance of $8 per square foot of leased space used for production. Both council members say these establishments help create a sense of place in our community and create good middle-class jobs.
These breweries are opening up and creating a lot of life, a lot of vitality, and they're creating a home for a particular way of spending time. And we need to be able to offer that in Montgomery County if we want to be competitive for the workforce and ultimately for the companies that follow the workforce.
We want to make it as simple and streamline it as much as possible so that there are few impediments to having more breweries open and be an entertaining place for people to congregate and enjoy the product in moderation.
Also this week, public hearings are set to begin over the FY 19 to 24 Capital Improvements Program. Included this year is $1.75 billion for Montgomery County Public Schools. That's the highest suggested level ever.
Without the public hearings, we wouldn't really know where to begin as far as meeting the community needs. We really do need to hear from people about the intensity of concerns about particular areas and to help us understand if we're being responsive to what the community is looking for.
We also had a briefing on the effects of the, federal decisions that have been made regarding the tax code overhaul and how that is affecting the behavior of many of our high filers here in the county. That is going to have an effect on the availability of resources both for the operating budget and the construction CIP budget.
Last week, the council unanimously approved a savings plan that saw a cut of $53.3 million from this year's operating budget. The council voted to keep funds in some key areas.
The savings plan was an opportunity for us to be proactive, knowing that because of this issue with the federal tax bill and this uncertainty, we realized that we are dealing with a bit of a deficit. So before we take on the operating budget deliberations, we did make some decisions on what the executive has sent over to us. We did modify it somewhat. There were some areas of real importance, investments we have made in early childhood, for example, on coding for young students, et cetera, that is very important. Some, fire equipment and some resources for our first responders, which is also very important. Our Latino health initiative and other minority health initiatives are doing extraordinary work in prevention, et cetera. So those were minor tweaks that we did take into consideration and acted upon, but nonetheless, we pretty much stayed within the general ask of the executive. So, hopefully by the end of February, we will have another distribution and another opportunity to look at our revenue levels. And going into the operating budget deliberations after March 15th, we'll have a better understanding of where does that deficit stand and what else do we have to do to manage that.
That wraps up this edition of Council in Brief. I'm Crystal Park.